I should try that next time. Just go. What is going on, Spencer?
What is up, Daryl? What's
Welcome
happening,
to the show.
my man?
Welcome to the show. Anyone who happens to be here, this stream, the health of this stream, to be honest with you, is laughable. So I'm not sure how many people are actually in here and can see this, but if you are here and you're with us, thank you for joining us. We're excited to be back. Spencer, how you doing, my brother?
I'm good, Daryl. How are you?
I'm feeling good, man. It's a weird time right now, isn't it?
It's a very weird time, especially to be talking about college football, which we're going to get into in a minute. May or may not be happening.
Yeah. So what is your opinion on that? So if it does happen, which I will tell you up front that I think that it will happen. I feel confident that somehow, some way, it's going to happen.
I also think it will happen. I have other opinions about the rest of this, but that's not for this show. I do think it will happen. And if it happens in a limited capacity, that'll be fun. But if I have a theory about what could potentially happen if it happens in a limited capacity. And even if it happens at full capacity, I have a theory about something that could happen.
I have theories as well. Would you like to go first? Or do you want me to share my theories first?
If it happens in a limited capacity, or even if it happens in a regular capacity, I think this could be the year where we get because no teams are practicing right now and they're going to have limited preparation. This could be the year where a team sneaks up, makes it. We could have 4 completely different teams in the playoff this year. Like, we've got your Clemsons, your Alabamas, your Ohio States, your LSUs of the world. But this could be the year where, none of that happens.
So here's what's interesting to me. So first of all, Jack, we see you. What's going on, brother? Jack,
what's up, Jack?
We both look rough. We do. I
agree.
Yeah, I got a ponytail for some reason. Spencer just looks the usual. But I gotta say, your beard is thick. Your beard is very. It's like thick with about 8 C's on it. I'm very impressed with that. But yeah,
haven't shaved since November.
Dude, you took it to the next limit. I gotta say, I haven't shaved since before the quarantine. This is where I'm at. This is the best I can do. But no,
you'll get there.
I think this is an interesting year because if this does happen, every team is already off of its typical rhythm because typically you have spring training, right?
Yep.
In spring training, everything it sort of revolves around getting this whole rhythm going behind understanding how we can get some of these spring enrollees in here. How do we get rolling? How do we get some of the new offensive pieces going? You don't have that, and you sort of get out of rhythm. So a lot of these guys are going to be rusty. A lot of these guys are going to be coming into the fall, and fall camp is going to be very important. I think the teams that have the most prolific fall camp is going to do a lot this year. So yeah, I think it is an opportunity for some teams to catch others off guard just because you get out of that rhythm, it changes things,
We might be this season, we might be looking at like 2007 college football season levels of upsets because of the lack of preparation. And like, yes, having a good fall camp is still going to lend itself to helping Alabama and Clemson and Ohio State and LSU and all these like major programs. But, you know, it could benefit them or it could hurt them because they're used to more of a rigorous type. They didn't have spring camp. They didn't have spring ball. They didn't have summer ball.
Right.
So, but now all these other teams everybody's going to be kind of on the same playing field.
Yeah.
So like
it does,
we could have some shockers this season.
No, I agree. And I think without, you know, again, when you get out of that repetition, and the big thing is coaches don't like this either. Coaches don't want to see, you know, their players get out of a rhythm. They count on there are things in the spring practice that happen that sets up their expectations. It gets coaches in the right frame of mind to understand where they want their players to be, potential for where their players could be as far as position goes, as far as assignments goes, as far as a lot of things go. So essentially everyone's going to get off to a bit of a weird start, and I think that's going to cause a lot of lack of discipline. I think it's going to cause a lot of sloppiness. I think you're absolutely right. It's going to be a weird year where you could see a lot of different upsets and things that don't normally happen just because of the lack of the rust, you know, being away from for so long. For sure.
But then again, you know, the big programs are the big programs for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, so they could also still be dominant, and I think they still will be,
and
because of some of the caliber of athletes they get.
Exactly, and I think when you look at it like this, things are leveled across the board. It's not like one team is going to be able to start earlier than another team. The NCAA is probably going to say, you know, and this is what I think is going to be interesting to see, because we're slowly beginning to ease into a period where some things are beginning to quote-unquote get back to normal, even by the littlest bit. I know politically a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about it, but the fact of the matter is things are beginning to slide just a little bit. Now, I think by the time fall comes around, we're still going to be easing into things as far as that goes. But I know right now, as far as crowds are considered, wrestling, I think right now they're going to begin allowing venues to be at 20. At least the state of Florida has said that 25% capacity for arenas is okay in sporting events, I think starting in June or something along those lines. I'm using a lot of paraphrasing because I can't really remember the article exactly how it went, but the point I'm trying to make is that we're going to be transitioning into that period. So I think it's going to be interesting to see when the NCAA is going to allow teams to start again, and if the NCAA allows teams to start again, is one state going to come in and say, no, we're not ready yet, whereas another state will say we are ready. Then one team suddenly gets to practice earlier than another team. This is uncharted territory. A lot of things can happen, but if there is a period where, let's say, the state of Alabama says, no, we're not going to let practices begin, regardless of what the NCAA says, we're not going to let practices begin until a later date, and then the state of Mississippi says, no, it's fine, you can start now, that's going to cause a lot of controversy, and I'm sure the NCAA will have a lot on their hands.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like no one's going to know how to react to this. And, you know, there's going to be different levels of preparation for this that maybe people don't expect. And, you know, I know quarterbacks and things like that, you know, you get in a rhythm with your wide receivers and stuff like that. So this is going to be a very interesting year. I do think college football will happen. Maybe the stadiums will be at 20% capacity, which is going to be really weird because there's a lot of teams, like, example for Nebraska, they sell out every game, and they have since the 60s.
Right.
So if they can't have that stadium at full capacity, what are they going to do? Like, they're still going to – I mean, the Husker Nation's still going to show up. They're still going to be there. They're going to be there, obviously, because they sell that stadium out. But, like, it's going to be interesting to see how many people they're going to let. Also, College Game Day is going to be very interesting this year because what if they're not having big crowds at College Game Day? Like, imagine College Game Day with no signs in the background.
Well, and it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if College Game Day just didn't travel this year. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't travel, but maybe they sent a crew out to film and have something for the background and things like that.
Or say, hey, this is where we would have been, but we're going to be in the studio and we're going to send a small crew out there to film. And like, hey, you can show up. A certain number of people can show up and like have signs and stuff. Because this year, it's either this year or next. I think it's this season, though.
I just
the
popped the
first
shit out of my neck. It felt so
No,
good. Please
it's fine.
continue.
I think it's either this season or next season, but I want to say it's this season. The first game day of the season, Navy and Notre Dame are playing each other in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And game day was supposed to go to that. I don't know. I don't remember if that was this year or next year.
That's the one we got to travel to.
Yeah. I want to say it was this year, but if it's this year, it may not happen. Like, they may have canceled that already because, like, it's going to be one of the first college football games to be played overseas in a long time.
Yeah.
Man,
but like, that would be really exciting to see.
Yeah. And, like, that's probably going to be a good game. Navy usually has a good team, and Notre Dame's usually a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame's the Fighting Irish, so making sure, going to Ireland is going to be good for them.
Something I thought about as far as the 25% capacity, if we're in some sort of state like that where they are allowing fans into the stadiums, you have to think that there's going to be a priority there because all these student athletes have families, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of that 25% is the families. And then and of course you have to have media, you have to have, or at least to a certain degree, you have to have camera crews. So it's going to be interesting to see if it's going to be completely families and they only allow in, if 20% is already filled after families and media and coaches and players, does the other 5%, the highest bidding, donors
season
for the
ticket
school,
holders, maybe?
season ticket holders,
boosters,
right? How exactly?
And where do you draw that line? Do you draw that line along who's donated the most money, who's been a season ticket holder? Like, where do you draw that line?
Decisions that are well above my pay grade, but
yeah. I'm not the president of any academic institution, so I don't get, or an athletic director, so I don't get paid to make these decisions. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So very interested to see what happens there. And I will say this, I'm interested to see what the environment is going to be like. And I think that when you're watching these games on TV, as a wrestling fan, I have suffered through the empty arena matches for wrestling for the past like a month and a half. It is weird.
They're weird to watch.
It is, and it's one of those things, man, where you don't think about it. The crowd is such an integral part of every sporting event.
You don't notice it until it's not there.
You don't notice it until it's not there. So, but even if we're at 25%, I will say that I think that it's going to be okay, but it's not going to feel like the big-time football games that we're used to. I think what it's going to sound like is it's going to be sort of like watching a high school game. It's going to have the same environment of you're going to hear a band. Half of the band, I'm sure that they'll have some sort of regulation on how much of the band can be there. Maybe they
or
won't
if
have
they
the
let
band
bands
go.
in the yeah.
Well, they
But,
opt
like,
out of bands.
You can't have college football without a band.
Well, but you also can't have it without fans.
Yeah.
So if it comes down to it, what do they pick? Do they pick the band? Do they pick the people?
The band and families.
And then you're looking at what's going to sound like high school games. It's going to be
like a spring game.
Yeah, or maybe like exactly. So
if they do crowds and no bands, like the band is at the spring game, but it's always in a limited capacity. Mm-hmm. So like if they do crowds and like half a band, it's going to be like a spring game. And spring games are fun to watch anyway.
Spring games, right. But it's not going to have the gravity,
which I think could very well shift the momentum to some games. Like there's going to be I think if we do like limited crowds at these stadiums are huge, especially in the Big Ten, like Michigan, Penn State hold 100,000 plus people, right?
Right.
If you do a number of that, the level of noise that they're going to be able to make to distract the other team is not going to be there. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be some home games that these teams like should come out and dominate because the crowd helps them. Like you got your maroon out shirt on, like A&M, the crowd is the 12th man, right?
We always lose a maroon out game anyways, so.
Well, I mean, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah. That's what I'm saying. At A&M, the crowd stands for the whole time, and there's the war hymn and, the yells. Imagine an Aggie game without the yells or the war hymn. That's going to be really weird.
There was an old story I heard, I think back in the 90s. No, it was before that. I think it was about the 90s. Whatever it was some decade of A&M and UT rivalry football whenever literally the UT coach would take the speakers at the practice facilities and just blare them as loud as they could not during the entire practice, but I think during whenever they were, going full speed, running plays, trying to get plays out and stuff like that, just to prepare for the fact that they're not going to be able to hear in Kyle Field because of the 12 men. And that's one of those stories I like telling. But you get it absolutely, man, it matters. And I will tell you,
imagine
from my experience, go ahead.
Jump around at Wisconsin. Like if you've ever seen those videos, start of the third quarter, they do jump around. Imagine jump around with like a quarter of the stadium filled. Well, it's not going to be the same.
Exactly. And it's like, and I know the XFL, RIP was for what it was off to a great start, and obviously got crippled because of the whole COVID bit. But you kind of immediately felt the sort of irrelevance of the games because of how little the crowds were. When you see a packed stadium, it just adds a level of relevance to the game. It makes it feel like there's something very important about to unfold. And whenever you leave seats empty, you kind of go, no one really cares about this. Or at least that'll be the illusion. Now, obviously, I think by the time fall gets here, people will be ready for football.
Yeah, man, for sure. People are going to be ready for football. So the people who can be at games and get into games are going to be fine. But like, I think it was either last year or 2 years ago, Michigan and Penn State played each other. And it was at Penn State. And Michigan came out for the first drive of the game, and the crowd was so loud they had to take a timeout immediately. It was either a timeout or delay a game. I don't remember. But the crowd was so loud they had to stop and like regroup themselves and call the play again because they couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
Imagine like that's not going to happen this year if we have limited crowds.
No. Similar story. I was at it was 2013. It was the year that Alabama came to Kyle Field. It was the year after.
Great game, by the way.
Yeah, great game. It was the year after Johnny Manziel and then went and actually won in Tuscaloosa. So the next year, obviously, everyone's very hyped up. Everyone thinks that we're going to the Natty, even though we know what happened that year. Still a fun year, but the point is there was on the opening Alabama drive, we had already scored. It was 7-zip. On the opening Alabama drive, they had two back-to-back false starts because the crowd was just ridiculously into it. You can go watch that.
And that game was incredibly hyped, right?
It was great, yeah.
The year previous, Johnny Manziel and Texas A&M had gone into Tuscaloosa and won one hell of a football game, and then Alabama still goes on to win the national championship against Notre Dame. And then, so Alabama's coming off.
You talk about exhausted after that game, bro. I
know. I was too. I was watching it at freaking Buffalo Wild Wings when we lived in Louisiana in Lake Charles. And, dude, people were coming up to me for like 2 years after that. Or like as long as we were living, like he was like, I saw you at Buffalo Wild Wings during that A&M game. And I was like, for real? And he was like, yeah, man, you were so hyped. And I was like, yeah, because
I'm sure you were.
Yeah, I mean, there's a picture I have on Facebook. I had on my Beat the Hell Out of Bama shirt.
Yeah, dude, you were like the biggest Johnny Manziel fan around that time.
I still am a Johnny Manziel fan. I always will be. He's one of my favorite athletes of all time. And if he would have been drafted by anybody but Cleveland, I think he would still be in the league.
I don't think he'd still be in the league, but I think he would be in the league. I think he would have been in the league longer. That's what I think.
Well, can we talk about how it's been 8 years since Johnny won the Heisman? 8.
I have to leave.
It's ridiculous.
Makes you feel so old.
Yeah, dude. It's like, and it's weird because, but like, anyway, like I said, I remember that game, and then there was a video, a hype video that Texags put out, and it was, I think it was Texags. It was called Roll Tide / Farmers Fight, and it had like the date of that game. And like that game was high. I think it was September 14th or September 7th of 2013. And then they were interviewing Alabama fans and they were interviewing Texas A&M fans. And it's like they were like the whole college football world's eyes are going to be on College Station this day. And we were right because I think Gameday was there that day.
Gameday was there, yeah.
And so the whole world was looking at this, and the Aggies ended up losing, but only by a touchdown. They almost made the comeback. But like some of the craziest plays happened in that game.
Yeah.
The play where Johnny like got horse collared and chunked it downfield and it got caught. That 98-yard pass to Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Like when the comeback started.
3rd and 12, and he just tossed it up. Mike Evans was like, all right. Took it.
No, it wasn't Mike Evans. It was number 18. I don't know who number 18 was.
No, it was on that long play. No, that was Mike Evans.
Yeah, on the long one for the touchdown. But when Johnny like scrambled and like got horse collared and then chunked it, was that Mike Evans?
No, that was who was that? Wachiku, I think maybe.
Was it Wachiku? I thought Wachiku wore number 8.
I don't know.
I thought he was
graduated. It's been a long time, but somebody came up with it.
Yeah.
But the long touchdown pass to Mike Evans, he went and caught that. He made the touchdown, and then he was like on oxygen immediately after because it was so hot that day, dude.
Yeah, dude. It was. I mean, I was inside the whole time, but like I remember being at Buffalo Wild Wings that day, and I told my waitress, I'm like, I'm gonna be here for a while. I'm gonna watch this whole game, so I just want to let you know that. And she was like, okay. And then I remember like it was funny when this dude got like pissed at me because I was sitting here getting hype and like a little bit mad that Alabama was winning this game, and he was like, hey, can you put it on the? He was visibly pissed at me, but he wasn't saying anything to me. But like he took his anger out on the waitress. He was like, can you put it on the LSU game? And LSU was playing like Kent State that day. And I'm like, dude, this is like one of the most exciting games. Like, obviously, I'm an LSU fan, but I support A&M as well. And I was like, this is one of the most hyped up games, and you're watching LSU about to beat the mess out of Kent State. Like, it didn't compute. And, like, the games were on at different times because A&M and Alabama had the 2:30 CBS slot, and then I think LSU Kent State was at like 5:30. It was like the afternoon game.
I will say, just for the context, I will say that there is something about being a fan and having to watch another team beat your rival when you can't. You know, like I'm sure there was some, and you had sympathy because but you had sympathy because you were a Johnny Manziel fan. I went to A&M, so like you had that whole thing going.
I mean, A&M fan vicariously through you.
Right.
But, hold on, we need to back up before you went to A&M.
Let's do it.
Do you remember how much crap I talked when you told me you were going to A&M and I was still a UT fan? Yeah. I talked so much shit. It was unreal, dude.
I called you. And I think your mom picked up the phone, and I said, I have some bad news to tell Spencer. And then she was like, was it your mom? I don't know. And she was like, she said, oh, what's the news? I said, well, I know where I'm going to college. And she says, uh-oh. And I said, yeah. I said, I'm going to A&M. And then I heard you in the background. You go, no! You were so upset.
I mean, yeah, but like...
No, I take it back. That was more of a Darth Vader no. Yours was like a no! No, God, no! Like you couldn't accept it, you know?
Like from The Office, no, God,
no,
please.
God, please. Yeah, exactly. That's totally what it was.
Dude, I talk so much noise, dude.
Yeah, man.
It's amazing. Hey, Kylie, what's going on?
What's going on, Kylie?
Chat. Yeah. But yeah, dude. And like, but it was funny because like, you know, we've talked about this. You also grew up a UT fan before you went to A&M. And it's like, but because that's all we knew.
That's all we knew.
No one around us had told us about A&M.
It was all that was at Walmart.
Yeah, it was all that was at Walmart. You could find an A&M shirt every now and then. But that was back when, like, Texas was good. Like, when they had Vince Young and went to the Rose Bowl 2 years in a row.
I remember vividly watching Vince Young in the Rose
that was
Bowl.
the first national championship I ever stayed up late to watch.
I remember Colt McCoy getting the lamest injury of all time. It didn't even look like he got hurt. They just were like, oh, he's hurt. And I, watched the replay 8 times. I was like...
I don't want to talk about it.
How is he hurt? Well, that was the
his arm turned into a spaghetti noodle. That was the birth of Alabama. His arm turned into a spaghetti noodle, and if that wouldn't have happened, Texas would have beat Alabama in that game.
The birth of the Nick Saban era.
The birth of my hatred of Alabama. I've calmed down a hell of a lot since then. But I bet 10 points on a test at that game. To someone you know very well who was a teacher.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Bet 10 points on a test.
That's
and I lost.
You don't.
But I made like 110 on the test, so I still passed.
I'll be honest with you, man. I think you were one of the first people in America that learned you don't bet against Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, my bet was like totally insignificant, but you know.
Yeah. So. Well, tell me, my man, how do you feel about your boy Joe Burrow going to the Bengals? Are you sad about it? Are you pumped about it?
I'm super excited about it. It's like, I'm excited that he went number 1. But when was the last time LSU had a quarterback this good besides Jamarcus Russell?
That's it.
He was the last one we had.
It's them too.
Go number 1. Dude, and like we were just talking about a few minutes ago, I saw a thing on Facebook. Every single draftable player on LSU's offense from this past season is on an NFL team right now. Whether they were drafted or signed as an undrafted free agent, They're all in NFL teams now. Joe Burrow went first. He opened the first round, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire closed the first round because he went with the number 32nd pick to the Chiefs. So he gets to go be with Tyrann Mathieu and a bunch of other LSU dudes. So it's just like, I mean, I'm literally wearing my national championship shirt right now.
I really do think that this LSU team will go down in history as
statistically one of the best.
Statistically, in the conversation, the best. You know.
Yeah. Like you talk, but also you look at like in terms of teams that got drafted. You know, you look at like the benchmark right now is 2001 Miami. That team had so many draft picks. It was over the time that they could get drafted, they had 35 first-round picks. Like, not all in the same draft, obviously, but when those players graduated and went to the draft or declared for the draft, they had 35 first-round picks. And then the next one is kind of, you look at 2015 Ohio State. They had J.T. Barrett, Ezekiel Elliott, Joe Burrow. You look at that roster, and they might go down as one of the best teams ever. Like, they won the Natty that year.
Yeah.
Did they win the Natty? 2015? No, it was Clemson, wasn't it?
Well,
Clemson won the Natty.
Which year? Yeah, which year? It was 15 or 16. Whenever they had.
No, Ohio State won it in 14 because they beat Oregon in the national championship
in the first playoff.
That's
right.
And then in 2015, Ohio State lost in. I think that was the year Clemson beat them in the playoff, 31-0. And I think that was because Alabama beat Clemson first, and then Clemson beat Alabama.
Right.
So I think Alabama won that year.
And then the rubber match, that was when Trevor Lawrence showed up and walked all over him.
Yeah.
No, they played 4 times, haven't they?
Have they played? Well, they played 3 times in the national championship and once in the playoff.
That's right.
Once in the semifinals.
Okay, I always forget about the one with Coker.
Yeah, dude, it's weird to me. Like, obviously Alabama gets top-tier recruits, right? And they have for a while, and they're going to keep. Like, Alabama lost 2 games this year, but they were 2 rivalry games. They lost to, like, statistically the best team ever and their biggest rival. So I don't want to hear – Alabama isn't going anywhere. And I don't like Alabama at all. They're not going anywhere. Yeah. They're loaded with recruits. They get the best recruits every season. They're going to be around for a while. Maybe we've started to see the fall off, but next year they might – like – but –
what if COVID is the end? What if that spring training really messed up Nick Saban?
I don't know. That would be very unfortunate because I don't want to see
of course, you don't want it to end that way. You know,
the best college coach ever. Have to go out like that. Like his downfall starts because of a global pandemic. I don't want that to happen. Hey Shane, I just saw you in the chat. What's up, man?
What's going on, Shane? Oh, Kylie, I just saw your message. Hope you're doing well too.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah.
I hope you're doing well. Stuck in line at Jack in the Box. I hope you eat. I
mean, nobody can go into Jack in the Box right now, so.
Very true. But yeah, so I don't know. I want, and like I said on the podcast last season, I wanted Alabama at full strength. I wanted Tua to play because if LSU beats them, I want LSU to be able to say, we beat Alabama at full strength. And, hats off to Tua because he came in on a bad leg and still his team, he almost made a comeback and they only lost by 5 points. So, shout out to him, and I hope he does great with the Dolphins. But I don't know. It's just, you look at all these teams, and I hope we can get football the way football is meant to be.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, man. And, it's we could go round and round about what the nation needs right now, but I certainly think that distractions are a good way to help. It's hard to just put something out of your mind without replacing it with something, and
we need sports.
We need sports, and I'll tell you this too. Even if we are in some sort of weird state where NFL and college ends up looking like a high school game because of the weirdness of the crowds, it's still going to be the players we've been hyped about. It's still going to be the coaches we've been hyped about. It's still the colors we know. It's established. The XFL obviously didn't work out because it was so young and the teams are so unestablished. I think that if this entire crisis happens in the middle of the NFL season, they may try to keep going and just do the no crowd thing and finish things out, because there's still a lot of money on the table. Even if you go and do that at an empty stadium, there's still a lot of money to be made.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you're gonna make money. Like
and fantasy is such a big part of NFL at this point
that's where a lot of money's gonna come from.
Right, exactly. So I truly do believe that football will happen. I do think that it's going to be tough. I think we're going to have a lot of challenges. It wouldn't even surprise me if certain games get removed from the schedule. It wouldn't surprise me if the little, throwaway games against, quote unquote lesser opponents get scrapped.
If certain states have regulations and certain states don't play football, and like, let's say this smaller university doesn't want to play this big university, and that game gets canceled, we could get the return of some big rivalries we've been wanting to see. Let A&M and Texas play each other again, for the love of God, please.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't this be the best way to start that rivalry again? Like,
I don't know if it'd be the best way.
Not the best.
It would be a way.
But like, it would happen.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that game should be on the schedule every season on Thanksgiving like it used to be. I don't care if Texas is in the Big 12 and A&M's in the SEC. That game should be on the schedule.
Well, and I've said this in years past, but I do believe that
it was the third best rivalry in the country.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Number 3.
I would agree. But
the Iron Bowl is number 1.
I don't know, though. Is it?
Iron Bowl is number 1. Michigan, Ohio State is number 2.
I don't know if
Texas, UT, A&M is number 3.
Well, I think it depends.
Tell me a rivalry. Measure. Tell me the third best rivalry that's not A&M or UT, behind the Iron Bowl and Michigan, Ohio State.
But I would agree that those are the top 3 rivalries in college football. But I don't know necessarily.
But I would put them in that order.
Would you put them in that order due to like the?
That's my personal order.
Your personal order, okay. I was wondering how you were measuring that.
I'm gonna go the Iron Bowl, A&M, UT, Michigan, Ohio State.
Well,
because I have no like care in the world about Michigan, Ohio State.
I guess we're gonna have this conversation. So, whenever I think about it, if I'm going to rank rivalries, I like to think of it in the terms of number 1, how much does it matter in like the actual national picture, and that to me is factor number 1. And factor number 2 is how much do the schools like truly hate each other, right? I think when you put it like that, the national relevancy and the hate has to go to Bama and to Auburn.
The Iron Bowl.
It has everything there. We can put it there. Although I would say I feel like the hate between LSU and Bama is a little bit higher.
Growing. The hate between LSU and Bama is higher, but the rivalry between Auburn and Alabama is up there.
Yeah, it's the complete picture.
But all that category, all those parameters you just said, the Iron Bowl and the game, which is Michigan, Ohio State, falls under that. But we're from the South, and I have no allegiance ties to Michigan, Ohio State. Ohio State gets on my nerves sometimes, but I'm neutral about them.
Yeah.
But I want Michigan to win because I want Michigan to win at least once because they haven't beat them since Bernard Robinson was there. And also, I'm still a little pissed that he got on the cover of NCAA 14 over Ryan Swope. But but Michigan's a bigger fan base than A&M is, arguably. But A&M's fan base, A&M's fans runs deeper along family lines. There's entire generations of families that have gone to A&M.
So I don't know, man. And here's why I say I don't know.
That's a bit of a tangent, but
anyway. Well, here's why I say I don't know, because this is very anecdotal. This is one person's opinion. But I do happen to know someone who is in a bit of a unique circumstance. A good friend of mine named Jonathan, who I was good friends with all throughout college. I still talk to him every now and then. After he graduated A&M, he went on to Ohio State. And he's been a big Ohio State fan all of his life. He got his master's degree there. He's doing well. But he told me that he went and did the whole tailgating experience at Ohio State. He's been to several Ohio State games. And he says that up there it's a different baby. And that there are people that care, that everyone is very into it. But it doesn't feel the same because I think mostly...
Football in Texas is religion. And if he's from Texas.
That's exactly right. So I think that in the South, it just, quote unquote,
it means more.
It really I know it's an SEC quote, but I think it does just mean more. Shane, I just saw your comment. What are you cooking? I think it does just mean more. And that's not to say that it means that doesn't mean anything in the North. I think that, obviously there is a lot of very impassioned fans between both of those schools. I just think that when you look at the level of national relevancy, when's the last time that Michigan was truly relevant as far as the playoff goes? Like they're in the same echelon as like the A&Ms and the
they haven't made the playoff.
Right, they're always in the conversation, but nothing really ever comes of it.
But like, hey Trey, I see you're in here. Iron Man. I'm talking about the Iron Bowl, Trey, not the Iron Man.
What's this man talking about?
I don't know what he's talking about.
Anyways.
But yeah, and for those of you who don't know, first time listeners, I see Shane, Kylie, and Trey in here. If you don't know what the Iron Bowl between Auburn and Alabama is called, the Iron Bowl.
It's a giant bowl the winner gets to eat cereal out of.
Yeah. Don't eat cereal out of iron. You'll get poisoned.
I wish that was true. Not the poison part,
but it used to be played in Birmingham, Alabama, for years. It was always a neutral site game, and there's a lot of like iron metal industry in Birmingham, so they called it the Iron Bowl.
Real quick, what's that axe? Do you know what I'm talking about? The
Paul Bunyan's axe, the one that Wisconsin and Minnesota play for.
Keep going.
But yeah, so it's called the Iron Bowl. But like, the reason why I say the Iron Bowl is the number one rivalry in America is because that's it when it comes to, yes, we can see the chat, Trey. Yes, that's it. Like in the state of Alabama, like, yes, there are other universities in Alabama like Troy, and there's several HBCUs in Alabama, and there's the University of South Alabama in Mobile. But like talking major college football, it's Auburn and Alabama. And if you're playing, they all died, Trey. If you're in that state, the minute you're born, you pick crimson and white or you pick navy blue and orange, and you stick with that until the day you die. Unless you're A.J. McCarron's girlfriend, who was an Auburn grad, but then went to all the Alabama games, and you get Vern Lundquist going goo-goo over her in the Iron Bowl a few years back. Anyway, so
what are we talking about?
We're talking about the Iron Bowl there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But like, the Iron Bowl has magic to this game because like there's no professional sports in Alabama on any level for any sport.
Let me just tell you the one thing, and I agree with more or less everything you just said. The Iron Bowl, I think, is the biggest rivalry in college football and college sports. To be honest with you, I think it matters the most.
I wouldn't say college sports because you got Duke, UNC in basketball. You got Duke, UNC in basketball.
Better get your ass out of here and move to a basketball channel. I'm not here to talk
about that. That's what I'm saying. I would say in college football, but not all of college sports.
No, I feel that.
Duke, UNC in basketball, Kentucky, Louisville in basketball.
I have to hijack the stream and let everybody know that although the Iron Bowl is not a competition for a giant iron bowl that you eat cereal out of, there is in fact a rivalry that is completely about getting this big yellow axe, this big red axe. This is Paul Bunyan's axe. Let me make sure this is looking right. Yeah. This is Paul Bunyan's axe, and this is between Minnesota and Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, Minnesota and Wisconsin. They've played for it. It's one of the oldest rivalries. It might be the oldest rivalry.
Now that's a damn trophy.
Yeah, it's really good.
If we're ranking what you play for, that's
got to be
that's the best rivalry in college
football. That's the best one. That's period. Like, there's some other cool trophies like the Jules Shillelagh between USC and Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But like, why doesn't that's one thing that the northern states have on the southern states when it comes to college football. They play for trophies, and it's amazing. Mm. Like, what do we have down here? The Egg Bowl and the Seminole War Canoe. That's all we got. And the Tiger Rag between LSU and Tulane. Yeah. LSU and Tulane hardly play each other anymore. And LSU would blow them out every year they did. So, like, last year's Tulane team was pretty good. They had a transfer LSU quarterback named Justin McMillan on their team. He was really good. But, like, if you heard that, I knocked the bottle over.
I was wondering what that was.
Northern rivalries play for stuff, right? Mm. So, like, Paul Bunyan's axe, the Jules Shillelagh.
The skillet.
That's the South. Yeah. But, like, it's the skillet, the Seminole War Canoe, and the Egg Bowl.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you got.
Look, man, I'll be honest with you. I know at the time, I was not a big Baker Mayfield fan. I've since come around on him. But I will tell you this.
That golden That golden cowboy hat?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
That UT and OU play for?
I am 100. I knocked the mic around. I am 100% around the idea of disrespect in college football. The one time that Baker Mayfield planted the flag
at Ohio State.
I told everybody it was disrespectful. All right, I was really mad because I wanted the team I liked to beat Ohio State. Okay, I was into the disrespect. If it had been, if A&M had went in there and won that game and planted a flag, oh my god,
dude! The pettier, more disrespectful stuff gets,
yes,
the better it is to me.
Absolutely.
Like, don't fight and don't ruin the game. But
why do you think I'm a wrestling fan, man? I want to see things get personal.
Yeah, Trey. Look up. Can you put the iron skillet up?
I can. Absolutely.
There's a battle for the iron skillet between TCU and SMU. This is my favorite in all of college football. This is my favorite trophy that anybody plays for because I love cooking in cast iron, and cast iron's fun. Here's the story. They're both TCU is in Fort Worth, SMU is in Dallas. So this is a rival of proximity. They are both private religious schools. Methodist University, TCU is Texas Christian University. So it's a rivalry of proximity. What happened? TCU is the Horned Frogs, SMU is the Mustangs. Way back in the day, there was an SMU fan in the 40s. There was an SMU fan in the crowd of the TCU SMU game tailgating, and he was cooking frog legs, which is hilarious. Because of course he would. They're playing the Horned Frogs. He's going to cook frog legs. So TCU fans saw that and said, that's disrespectful. You shouldn't do that. And the SMU fan was like, all right, bet. I got you. Whoever wins the game, their fan base gets to keep the skillet of frog legs. SMU wins the game and they keep the skillet. And TCU and SMU have been playing for the skillet. I don't know if it's the same skillet, but TCU and SMU have been playing for that skillet since the 40s. It's since the 40s. It's awesome. All also, right. Side note, tangent. Do you know where A&M got Gig'em from? I know you do.
I don't.
But they don't.
Yeah.
You know. Texas A&M, they say Gig'em Aggies, right?
That's right.
And they throw up the...
This is not a thumbs up, as a matter of fact. I think you should be able to see me right now. This is not a thumbs up. This is you holding a gig because we used to play the Horned Frogs way back in the day.
And what do you do when you hunt frogs?
You gig them.
You gig them.
And somebody just said, hey, gig the hell out of them Horned Frogs, and then it stuck.
Or it was one of the Yell leaders, actually. Yeah. If you don't know, they were like, what are we going to do to the frogs? And they were like, we're going to gig them. Mm-hmm. Gig them Aggies. So, that's how memes begin. Memes are just traditions that don't exist on the internet. But, it makes sense, though, because A&M's an agricultural school, so they do a lot of hunting and fishing, and so they like to gig frogs. But I agree with you about traditions being memes that aren't on the internet.
Big time.
And also, what's that saying about A&M? If it happens once in Aggieland, is it something that happened? If it happened twice, it's a tradition, something like that.
If it happens once, it's a coincidence. If it happens twice, it's a tradition.
I love it.
There's so many traditions at that school. Anyways, here's the iron skillet. You should be able to see it now. Just to give you some facts as a person who spends a lot of time in the kitchen. Number one, that is a fat-ass skillet. This thing is huge. That is a big man.
That thing is big.
That looks
like the one I found in South Padre.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably a good 16, 17 inch because I cook with cast irons often. Big skillet, big man holding that skillet. The skillet looks big to the big man. Proportionally, that's a big-ass skillet, okay?
Yeah.
Thing number two, that thing is horribly under-seasoned. This is what they look like whenever you don't put any seasoning on top of it. So I'm not sure how it's not rusting. Maybe that is rust. Maybe that's the reason it's that color. I'm sure they do something to it to preserve it.
They're bound to. But
they should be black.
LSU, it should be black if they season. But they're not going to season a trophy skillet.
Right.
But LSU here's another trophy people play for in the South. LSU and Arkansas play for the Golden Boot. And if you take the states, if you look at a map of Louisiana and Arkansas, it looks like a boot because they call Louisiana the boot.
Yeah.
And then Arkansas is like the shaft. And so it's the two states put together. One of the last times LSU beat Arkansas, because we have been for the past few years, they cleaned the trophy, but they only cleaned the Louisiana part of the trophy and shined it up real shiny and left the Arkansas part real dull, which was hilarious. That was Coach Orgeron's doing, which was hilarious and petty, and I love it. I love Coach O too.
My man.
Not that he's just the coach of my favorite team. He's also hilarious.
Dude, Coach O is a legend. He's a walking legend.
Yeah. And if you all don't mind, I need to move to a different location because my computer will die if I don't. So
better go grab that cord because we're going to lose you if you move to another room.
Why are we going to lose me?
Because remember when you went in your bedroom earlier,
I'm not moving to that. I'm gonna just move into the living room instead of the kitchen.
All right, cool. I got you.
But I'm still gonna be here. This looks really weird, but we're gonna be here. So we're walking. This is very unprofessional. Never do this.
I'll just call more attention to you by putting you on the big screen.
Yeah, we're gonna turn the big light on. And if you see dogs walking around, my dogs are in here. So if they make noise or go anywhere,
that's what dogs do.
That's what dogs do. Move, Emmett. All right, sorry. I am the worst live streamer on planet Earth. Live from my mother's living room.
Hey, man, that's how it's done. All right, that's professional live streaming etiquette right there. You have to be from your mother's living room.
Yep.
If at all possible.
There's a chat lag, and I haven't got a message in a few minutes.
Well, my chat quit. My I can't pronounce words. My chat quit. It stopped working. It says try again later, but I'm not going to refresh it because the stream is like hanging on by a thread. So also, okay. I got to say, I really like how this stream is just sort of turned into us like educating people on rivalries and such.
Oh, I love it. I mean, we could do a whole stream about talking about fun stuff.
Do a critical analysis stream of every individual college football rivalry. Yeah,
we could. The Iron Bowl has the most magic to it. There's always magic in that game.
Yes.
Weird stuff happens in that game. I love it so much. We've talked about the Iron Bowl a lot.
Yep.
For good reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's nationally relevant. Sometimes I'm sorry, I'm very unprofessional. We never claimed to be good. We never claimed to be good at this.
Yeah, man, we're just getting started. I do need you to rotate your camera a little bit. I need you to be on that portion. There you go. That's what I wanted. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, cool.
Let me check the chat on my phone. Maybe I can get it to pull up that way.
I left my phone in the kitchen.
That's all right. No big deal. See if anybody is coming through.
Let me refresh the chat.
Yeah, actually, just do it on your end. Refresh the chat on your end.
No, nothing's happened.
Okay, cool.
Trey said he was eating chicken, so.
Oh, delicious. Oh, is that what Shane said or Trey said? I didn't hear you.
Trey said that.
Trey said that. I asked Shane what he was eating for supper because he said he was cooking supper, but he never responded.
He was devouring. Trey said he was devouring chicken. Now you can't see my eyes because I have the big light on.
It's all right. No big deal.
And he said he was devouring our info as well. So apparently me talking about skillets that are unseasoned.
Finally some delicious content, right?
Yeah. Trey says, where do we get so much info? And Trey, it happens, just you're a fan of something for a long. It's like with anything.
Yeah.
Trey,
why do you know so much about Batman and finger painting? I don't know. Probably because you've been doing it all for a long time.
Oh. I got you. Inside joke for all of you.
Was that an inside joke? I literally just made up the finger painting part. I threw that in there. Am I referring to something?
Yeah, the joke I put in Trey's stream the other night, genius.
Are we just on the same stupid wavelength? I didn't read that comment.
Oh, well, we're on the same wavelength.
That's why we're good. That's why we're good co-hosts.
Mm-hmm. So, am I in the correct part of the screen?
Yeah, you're fine. What else do you want to talk about, dude? Because we didn't really set up topics. We just sort of hopped in to test this.
Yeah.
And we've been going for almost an hour. We probably should wrap it up in the next 10 minutes.
Almost an hour. We've really been going for almost an hour.
Yeah, dude. Time flies when you're streaming from your mother's living room.
Yeah, I mean, we can keep talking. Trey asked, so are there any changes in teams for no? LSU, A&M.
Yeah,
Houston.
You know what? As a matter of fact, Trey, now that you've asked that, I'm going to go ahead and change my team. I am now a Vanderbilt fan. I support all Vanderbilt sports.
Yeah.
All right, I tell you what, here's a good one. This is a legit question. Your dark horse pick for the Natty next year.
For the Natty?
For the Natty. Your matchup for the Natty next year.
How about I give you my dark horse for the playoff?
Okay, that's fine. I'll take that.
Tennessee.
People have been hot on Tennessee for some reason.
Tennessee.
I know they had a fair recruiting class.
Tennessee. I'm trying to think. Purdue. No. Rondale Moore's going to be back, so that's going to be good. But no, not Purdue. I said Purdue because of one player, so don't.
You gotta be ashamed of yourself.
I'm trying to think. USC.
I'll tell you what.
USC is not going to be a dark horse, but I'm gonna give you USC and Tennessee as two teams that I think will be very good.
You said UNC?
US. Also, North Carolina.
That's one of my dark horse picks.
I think North Carolina for sure.
Yeah.
I think Sam Howell he's dark horse Heisman pick for me too.
I don't know if he's dark horse Heisman pick, but he certainly has the I can win a game factor.
That North Carolina team is one of the games I'm most excited about. I think it's like week 1 or week 2 is Auburn versus North Carolina because that game is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
That game is going to be awesome.
Sign me up.
So, if I had three dark horses, North Carolina, USC, University of Southern California, and the Tennessee Volunteers.
Okay.
University of Tennessee.
All right, you just picking 3?
I can't really who do I got to force?
Alabama.
Kansas State. Kansas State. I'm serious about Kansas State.
Right, I'm sorry.
They beat Oklahoma last year. Their quarterback's coming back. They always recruit well.
They do have a young coach now.
Former coach of the North Dakota State Bison. And he hasn't said that correctly.
I'm with you. K-State, you're right. Now that you say it, they do have a lot of big factors lined up.
Also, Iowa State, because Brock Purdy's going to be back. That's a pretty good football player there.
Pretty good.
But yeah.
That was the stupidest thing you said all last season.
It was great, though, and you laughed. That was week 1.
No, it wasn't. Week 1 was when I made the stupid Louis Vega joke about
Tate Martell. That might have been week 2.
What is Tate Martell doing now? Did he transfer to Arkansas?
He's in Miami still.
Is he going to back up? Is he going to back up my boy
De'Aaron King?
Yeah.
He might be playing wide receiver.
That wouldn't surprise me.
If he would have just stayed at A&M, he'd have been fine because he was like hardcore committed to A&M, but he wouldn't have beat Kellen Mond, so it wouldn't have mattered.
I don't know, man. He might have. Kellen Mond got beat out his first year.
By who?
By Kyle Allen. And then Kyle Allen got hurt against
and then Nick Starkel.
Nick Starkel, yeah.
Who else did they have?
Who did I say? No. He got beat up by so it was the whole transfer situation because Kyler Murray left.
Imagine Kyler Murray stays at A&M.
I don't think it matters. He can't. I mean, look how he's struggling against these NFL defenses. You think he was going?
But he plays for the Cardinals.
True, and they're trying to help him out. They picked up DeAndre Hopkins. They picked up.
So isn't he like 5'5"? Like he's tiny.
They picked up Jerry Jeudy too, didn't they?
Yeah. No. Jerry Jeudy went to the Broncos.
But the Cardinals got somebody big.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I know, but out of the draft, they drafted. Anyways, they're putting some weapons around him.
Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker from Clemson.
They're putting some weapons around him, but I don't know. I think he was better for his career. He was much better off going to Oklahoma, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean, for sure. But
who knows what happened? Anyways, back to what we were originally talking about. That was after Kyle Allen left. It was after Kyler Murray left, and then the next year, Nick Starkel and
that other guy.
The other guy, what's his name that plays for the team that I can't think of? Kellen Mond came in, and then they competed. Nick Starkel won the job before the UCLA game. Kellen Mond came in, and then
which UCLA game?
The second one.
The one in College Station or the one in Los Angeles?
The one in Los Angeles. The one where freaking.
I don't want to talk about that game.
Yeah, I don't either.
The one good game Josh Rosen has, and all of a sudden he's a top draft pick. That dude is so trash. But he had one good game his entire college career.
Kind of agree with you. Anyways, so all that happened. I forgot what the original point was, but we were talking about Tate Martell somehow. Anyways, dark horse picks. Because you got yours out, I got to get mine out. UNC, very big on them. What's his name? Kyle Howell, is that his name?
Sam Howell.
I was thinking Kyle for some reason. Sam Howell, very talented. Again, he's not going to be the highlight machine. But from what I saw last year, both against Clemson and against...
He's very efficient.
Against Clemson and against USC, he steps up in big moments. He's very clutch. He's not a highlight machine, but he's going to find ways to win games. So I think that if their defense can keep other teams at bay, if this team
they really only got to compete with Clemson.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, as long as if that game goes well, and if all the other games, they can enter the fourth quarter.
And they got to beat Auburn.
But
if they lose to Auburn and Auburn still does good, then they look good going to the playoff.
And plus, Bo Nix is due for a sophomore slump. So, what are you
going to do? You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
I think Bo Nix he's still going to be very good. Bo Nix is going to be awesome.
Bo Nix is the same thing. He's cut of the same cloth. He's not a highlight machine, but he He does step up. He had that really pretty throw against the Oregon, that great Oregon team last year. So Auburn's actually my other dark horse pick, to be honest.
Oregon?
Yeah, not Oregon.
Auburn.
Auburn. My apologies.
Auburn.
Yeah. Auburn. I think that they're going to win the Iron Bowl again.
Again?
I think they're going to win the Iron Bowl again. They get in the playoff.
I also have another prediction. A team that this year, and maybe this is just the bias in me talking, but this year, I think there is a team that should not beat Alabama, is going to sneak up and get Alabama this year. I don't know who it's going to be.
Mississippi State.
It might be Mississippi State. I don't know. Well, because they have Mike Leach now.
Dude, they
and
do.
Garrett Schrader's going to be throwing for like 5,000 yards this season.
Look,
imagine seeing that.
Nick Saban can't compete against good quarterbacks, and new coaches energize quarterbacks. You look at Kellen Mond with Kevin Sumlin versus Kellen Mond with Jimbo Fisher. There's a difference, man. Coaches energize quarterbacks. So,
like the air raid off. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Mike Leach is a coach that like innovated an offense called the air raid offense. You throw the ball a bunch. He was at Texas Tech for years. All of his quarterbacks set a bunch of records. He got fired from Texas Tech for some BS reasons that we're not going to get into. And then he went to Washington State. He took a year off, and then he went to Washington State. Washington State's quarterbacks, whether the team is good or not, they're always in the top in passing statistics. They're always in the top in passing touchdowns. And now he's the coach at Mississippi State, which is an SEC school. The SEC is known for running the ball, smash mouth, hard-hitting football, and known for defense. So he's going to bring that air raid offense to an SEC team. And this year's Mississippi State team could very well be how 2012 A&M was. No one was ready for them.
100% agree. Yeah.
No one was ready for them, and one play goes right in that Florida game, and another play goes right in that LSU game. A&M's undefeated when they go in and beat Alabama and Tuscaloosa.
So Leach's offense is interesting because, and the reason his quarterbacks set all these records is because the running game is almost non-existent. The running game is short screens. It is short passes underneath.
Which is passes. Which
counts.
They get the running backs involved, but you have to be a receiving running back. Like
exactly.
A player like running backs from years past, Derrick Henry, player like Leonard Fournette.
You're not going to recruit one of those. Mike Leach is not going to go after you.
Yeah.
This is a team that's going to focus entirely on speed, and I think the biggest thing, you're going to have that first year where it's going to work really well because suddenly the SEC has to prepare for it, and there's not going to be a lot of film for it. You can look at old Mike Leach stuff, but he's still going to have a brand new coaching crew. There's going to be some changes, I'm sure. So, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff that you're going to see a lot of weird, like underneath screens where they run back. It's going to be a lot of fun. Mississippi State games are going to be a lot of fun to watch. Yeah. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they pull out an upset against a team they shouldn't. I don't know if it's going to be Bama.
For sure. But can we just talk about the fact that in the SEC West right now, coaches, we have Nick Saban, Ed Orgeron, Mike Leach, and Lane Kiffin, head coaches in the SEC West. This is going to be one of the funnest SEC West seasons because also Ole Miss, the Egg Bowl's always fun, except last year was weird. The Mississippi State Ole Miss game, where they play for literally a bowl full of eggs. And since we're that's what it's called. I don't know. I don't know necessarily the history on that one, but I do know the history of why.
Made entirely of eggshells.
But for those of you who don't know, at Mississippi State games, home games, because a lot of stadiums don't allow them to have them, they ring cowbells, and it's really annoying if you're in the stadium. They do the same thing at McNeese, which they probably stole that from Mississippi State. But the story of why Mississippi State rings cowbells is because they were in the Egg Bowl a long time ago. They're playing Ole Miss. A cow wanders onto the field. They were losing the game. The cow wanders onto the field, and it kind of distracted the Ole Miss players for a bit, and then they get back into the game. They end up winning the game. They kept the bell, butchered the cow, and ate him for the team, and now they ring cowbells. Dude, it was the early 1900s. Don't look at me like that. There was stray animals everywhere. John Boyce fans know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Like the story of the 1922 Georgia Tech versus Cumberland College game.
I wish you could just go out on Interstate 35 and there would just be chickens walking across the road.
I don't want the chickens to get killed.
Dude, I don't either. But imagine the feathers just.
Yeah, it'd be like that baseball highlight of Randy Johnson back in the day when he threw that ball and killed that dove.
Dude, all right, we're getting off topic.
Yeah.
Dog,
Anyway,
I'm gonna
look that up. Randy Johnson kills bird video. Rest in peace to that bird. I don't condone animal violence, but this was a freak accident.
Genuinely, if you're watching, you should go watch that. It's a once in a life, like that will never happen again. The odds of this bird swooping down at the same time a 95 mile an hour fastball is coming by and just
the bird
collides. Dude, like that, like that's like the same odds as like the Big Bang or whatever happened. Anyways, Spencer, I'm gonna be real with you, man. I'm starving. I think we've talked enough. I've enjoyed this. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, this has been fun. We got to do this more often.
Yeah, we do for sure.
I know. We talked a lot about COVID, and we talked a lot about fun traditions. So, yeah, dude, this has been fun. If you're watching, Trey, Kylie, Shane, Jack, I see you. Thank you for being here. Oh, we need to talk about we rebranded. We didn't talk about that at all.
So very briefly, guys. We are still going to be doing a podcast. It will be called probably the Gameday Breakfast Podcast.
The Gameday Breakfast Podcast.
The channel is now Hash Browns and Hash Marks because we may be making like separate content. So like what I'm thinking about doing, I'm studying like film right now and just sort of learning like the in and outs of how things work. Mike Leach is one I've been watching a lot, funny enough. So I think what I want to do is do a thing where like I analyze one play a week whenever college football starts, and then maybe make it fun, maybe make it interesting, maybe make it kind of goofy. I don't know. So we maybe do stuff like that, and then Spencer also has some stuff planned.
Yeah. And there's going to be just different. We're going to diversify the content.
Yeah.
And like Hash Browns and Hash Marks was the name. For those of you who don't, we did the podcast last year, but we wanted to start it 2 seasons ago in 2018, but we just never really got it together. And Hash Browns and Hash Marks was the name we kind of came up with. And then shout out to Will, came up with the Gameday Breakfast, which I still think is a great name. So it's still going to be the Gameday Breakfast Podcast.
Right.
But the channel, everything is Hash Browns and Hash Marks.
The brand will be
the brand is Hash Browns and Hash Marks.
Yeah.
For the brand like Pat McAfee. But yeah, so it's like our logo looks great. Daryl designed that for us. It's just like Hash Browns and Hash Marks is a memorable name. Like you're going to remember that like if you're looking for content and this pops up. And so it's gonna stick in your head and then you're gonna listen and you're like, oh, who are these two goofballs? And then you're gonna listen to us talk about stuff for an hour. Or however long we do this for.
That's assuming a lot. I don't know if people like us that much.
I mean, they might.
But hey,
yeah. But hey, I'm glad for the people who are here.
For sure, man.
But yeah, thank you for watching. The
guys.
rebrand is happening. The Facebook is going to jump off a lot more. It's been a ghost town there since the national championship.
We got to do something, man. I want to make some graphics and stuff, but with running the other channel, it's like so much to do. And I have to a job too. What the hell is that? So yeah, I got to get you going on some graphic design though, so you can learn how to do some stuff like that.
And now that I have a computer and we're able to do this type of stuff,
I can start making you some templates. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, and this is going to be once the season gets here, this is probably going to be much more polished. But we just wanted to get this because we hadn't made anything in a while, and we just wanted to talk college football for a little while.
And honestly, just do something. So
yeah, there might be what happened to videos. If you're interested in this type of a few people I want to shout out. If you're interested in this type of content, what are we doing?
We got to end it on that.
But if you're interested in this type of content, there's a channel that me and Daryl both really enjoy called Flimlo Raps.
Flimlo, yeah. He makes some quality stuff.
FLEMLO space raps, like a rapper. And there's another guy named KTO. His videos are, I love KTO's videos. But yeah, go check those out if you're interested in more info about college football. I'm going to be making a What Happened To video in the same vein of KTO and Flimlo Rap soon about an athlete that I was super excited about, and a lot of people were super excited